Yeah, let's go there. There we go.
Old school.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to a special edition of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Evan and Thaddeus from On Purpose Media. Tonight we had our webinar for Local SEO Strategy, and as we were talking about it, we were about to go into Zoom with the guests that we had in there, and we said, fuck it, let's be transparent and put this out everywhere instead of making it exclusive in Zoom. Let's just put it out. Whoever it's of service to and uses it and watches it, fan-fucking-tastic. That's our style anyways, open and transparent. So here we go. Also in style, you got to have a beverage. So cheers.
Cheers. Not quite Whiskey Wednesday over in this household, Thirsty Thursday, so I'm going with a beer.
I love it. Awesome. So let's dive right in. We're going to get into local SEO strategies for 2022. Being that it is November, it's planning season, we're getting ready for next year. It's time to dial up what your digital marketing strategy is going to be for next year. And what better start than with SEO? SEO is one of those things that I'm really passionate about. This is how I got my start in the digital marketing field, just watching YouTube videos and diving in and learning about it, because my clients in my old business were really frustrated with their digital marketing. And so I dove in, started to learn it, started to apply it, talked to one of my clients and said, hey, do you want some help? I'll help you do it. Crushed it for him. And now he's ranking all across the city for keywords here locally in Edmonton, which was fantastic. And it was a ton of fun. And I was happy to do that. But that's what got us started with the agency, with digital marketing and how I got started with it. So I'm really passionate about it. I'm really excited to dive into it. For those of you that do not know myself or Thaddeus very well, we did want to kind of introduce ourselves, introduce the agency, because we don't talk about the agency very much with the podcast. You know, the podcast is focused on value. It's focused on giving back. We have great guests on the show. We love to shoot the shit and talk shop and add value to people. But tonight it's us talking about what we do, which is digital marketing. So for myself, I got my start in sales and marketing back in 2007. I started getting into direct sales. 2014, I started into HVAC sales. And so that was my journey into the trades and starting getting into it. Ended up working for a company here locally. And the disappointing thing for them was that they didn't have a sales problem. They could sell. They had a marketing problem. And so I started to work with them and help them fix that. And I got hooked. Ended up leaving there and started doing some paper magazines around the city, getting into advertising through that. And then ultimately through my partnership with Thaddeus here, started the digital agency. And now we've been crushing it with HVAC businesses across North America, having a blast doing it, adding value and bringing results. Thaddeus, do you want to tell a little bit about your background?
Well, I wasn't prepared to give myself a rundown of who I am. So I've been in the marketing game since January 2014. I remember it vividly. I came from a whole myriad of different backgrounds prior to getting into marketing. Didn't think I would actually ever end up being in marketing, coming from selling Cutco knives, managing condo buildings, being in the, selling used cars, actually new cars. Sorry, it wasn't used cars. It was new cars for 3 months when I first moved to Calgary. It was one of my first jobs outside of university. And also being in the elevator industry, so the passenger elevator industry. And everybody's like, why do you say the passenger elevator industry? Well, where we're from, if you say elevator industry, people are like, oh, grain elevators, right? Now talking about actual elevators that you ride up and down in buildings, and worked in that for 2.5 years. And the reason that I left that industry is I loved the industry, but I hated the culture. And I went to work for an organization, Best Version Media, doing print magazines that had a phenomenal culture, but really got hooked on the idea of marketing and helping businesses grow and doing it the right way. And coming from no knowledge to gaining a lot of knowledge in the print area, one of the things that I found in having conversations with business owners was that they had a frustration, and they had mainly with digital marketing agencies. There was no honesty and transparency. They paid somebody some money, they fucked off, never seen any work. The work that they had was shitty, on and on and on and on. And so when Evan and I first actually started having this conversation over 2 years ago, actually, we were reminiscing about that yesterday, that it was well over 2 years ago we started first having these conversations of, hey, let's start an agency. And we decided to do it. And off to the races we go. And our honesty and transparency are big things. That's why we decided to last second get this out to the masses, right? For the strategy. And that and I watched a webinar last week from a company, and I signed up. I'm like, oh, they're going on YouTube. And didn't really think much of it until like 30 minutes before this shit. And I was like, we should just go on YouTube. And I know that you can stream live on Zoom onto like Facebook or YouTube, but that's about all that you get. And so here we are. So I'm excited to dive in and talk about SEO, especially for what's coming up in 2022.
Yeah, buddy. It's an exciting time. And in terms of digital marketing strategies, this is our first webinar that we've done. But the reason why we wanted to start with SEO is because this is the core. This is the most important thing for a business in order to lower their cost per lead and dominate their market, is showing up on Google. This is the demand fulfillment side of marketing, where people have a need, they're going to Google. When their air conditioner breaks down, that's the first place they're looking. They're not going through the phone book. They're not going they're not going to Facebook to try and find a company that's going to come out and fix their air conditioner. They are going to Google to find a solution now. Yeah. So don't you want to be the business that shows up there? And one of the traps that I often see a lot of new businesses getting into is, okay, well, the first thing I need to do in starting my business is building a website. And while it's a good place to start, it honestly reminds me of the Field of Dreams and the idea that, if you build it, they will come. And just because you build a website doesn't mean you're going to start getting traffic. Just because you build a website doesn't mean you're starting to get new clients finding your business. You need to be doing other things. And so some of those other things involve, obviously, SEO, search engine optimization, showing up where people are looking for your services. Google ads, pay-per-click ads with Bing, retargeting, paid online directories. All these different aspects of digital marketing are essential to running a whole and complete business and having that omnipresent approach. But what it really comes down to tonight is that first step, and it's getting that SEO on point so that when people are looking for your site, they can find you. Anything you want to add to that, buddy?
No, the amount of times that I see people that, and I know we're going to get into some of the factors and even do a live analysis on the site, but people build a website and they're like, oh, people are going to magically find me. Well, no, it's a lot more difficult than that. There's a lot of things that you need to do on your website, first and foremost, just to make it work, let alone off the website to be able to have that.
Totally. So for those of you that are watching, if you do want to get an analysis done on your website, go ahead and drop it in the comments, drop the link to your website in the comments, and we'll pull it up during that part of the show. And we'll go ahead and do an analysis on your website here live and give you some feedback as to what you can do to improve your search engine results. But when I think of SEO, there was a quote that I read a long time ago that I absolutely loved, which is, good SEO is paying attention to the details that most others ignore. And the actual quote was bloggers, but I switched it out for others because that's the main focus of this right now is local businesses. And it's funny, I was even having a conversation with a guy today out of Utah, Jeff, and talking about his business. I'm like, look, the first thing you got to do when you're looking at SEO is at least matching what it is that your competitors are doing. And then the second step is looking at where are those gaps between what they're doing and what they could be doing or should be doing. And then now let's fill in those gaps and go past them and go above and beyond what it is that they're doing. So our invitation for tonight, if you're serious about your business and you're serious about growing in 2022 and showing up online where it matters most, I encourage you to eliminate the distractions. I know we're streaming live to Facebook, to Instagram, or not to Instagram, LinkedIn, to YouTube. So it's really easy to get distracted with different conversations and different things that come up. Go full screen, block out the distractions, and zone in if you're serious about growing your business next year. Because the reality is that we only remember 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of what we see and hear. So we're trying to get at least to that 50% point where we can zone in and focus in on the information that we got to share. Because, I mean, our goal here with this isn't to sell you shit. Our goal is to add as much value possible so that you can grow your business. And at the end of the day, if it adds some value and you appreciate it and you're interested in getting services because you don't have the time to do it for yourself, great, we can have a conversation. But we truly just want to give back. Like I'm so frustrated with a lot of the marketing agencies that are out there that are unwilling to provide real value to people and be totally transparent about what it is that they do and what it is that they're willing to do for clients, and how clients can really help grow their own business. So we're looking to do things a little bit different. Hey, our friends Tersh and Stacy, two of my favorite humans. Awesome.
I'm not even included in that list.
Two of my favorite, not the two favorite.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
There you go, bud. All right. So what are we going to dive into? The latest algorithm changes. We're going to go into that a little bit. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but in June, there was a big algorithm update that came out. So on average, there are 3 main algorithm updates that come out per year from Google. There was a really big one that came out here in June, and it dramatically changed the rankings that existed. And there were a lot of sites that dropped off in terms of their rankings. But it does change 550 times per year with little updates here and there, little tweaks here and there, an average of twice a day, right? And that's why past performance. So if you were ranking yesterday, it's going to equal pain today. If you're not adjusting and making changes, what used to work doesn't work anymore. Google's constantly adjusting. And so you need to stay two steps ahead and be radically consumer focused. And so you need to optimize your site for today. So we're going to dive into the tools and tactics and things that you can do for that. Thanks, buddy, for taking care of all the commentary.
Hey, no worries. Just doing my part.
So a big question that I do get when meeting different business owners is, does SEO even still matter? I mean, we've got social media and everyone's on social. So I need to be in front of them there, and I need to be posting and advertising on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And, we've got YouTube and we've got Google ads. Like, I can just pay for this traffic. Why does SEO even still matter? Right. And here's the reality. When we look at a search result page for local businesses, so if we're searching for AC repair, right, the very top of that page is your local service ads. This is the Google guaranteed, right? Those are paid ads. Really predominant place, great place to be, but it's paid. The second spot is would go right in here is traditionally your AdWords, right? So there wasn't any AdWords on this search, so none popped up, but that's where the AdWords would show up, is right in that section there. Again, paid. Below that is your map pack, and then your natural organic rankings, the good old fashioned organic rankings. This is where predominantly most of the clicks are. And Bright Local did an actual survey where they looked at the search end result page and tried to see where those clicks were going to. Sounds good, Tersh. So when you look at the search engine result page, only 13% of the clicks are going to those local service ads. 11% going to the PPC, the Google ads, 2% actually on the map itself, 28% on the map pack. So those 3 businesses that show up in the map rankings. And then the organic search, 43.9% of the search results are showing up down there. So if you're not paying attention to SEO, you're missing out on 70% of the clicks that exist. So if there's 1,000 searches, right, in San Antonio, there's an average of 1,000 searches per month in the summertime for AC repair. If you are not showing up in the organic rankings and all you're doing is paid clicks, you have the potential of only capturing 30% of the total clicks, so 300 of the clicks. But even within that, just because you're doing advertising or just because you show up number one doesn't mean you're getting all of those clicks. And they broke it down even further into the individual spots. So what does this mean? You need to show up and you need to do everything. This is why that omnipresent approach is so essential. If you're not doing paid ads and you're not doing SEO, then you're literally not showing up on Google at all. If you're only doing one, you're only showing up for part of the clicks that exists out there. If you want to capitalize on growing your business to its maximum capacity, this is what it takes. This is what is required. Is you need to show up in as many opportunities as possible. If you are leaving anything out of that wheel of digital marketing, and even beyond that, if you're leaving out other opportunities that exist in terms of traditional marketing with print and TV and billboards and things of that nature, radio, right? You're missing out on opportunities to be in front of your ideal customer. All right, what was the quote from Wayne Gretzky?
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Right. We're from Canada. I like baseball and basketball more than hockey. So
I'm sure that you could probably have a Michael Jordan reference there.
Yeah, probably.
You could probably fit a Tiger Woods one in. I'm sure there's something about Babe Ruth somewhere along the lines too.
Somewhere along the lines.
So you name it.
Totally. But if you're not showing up at the end of the day, if you're not showing up where your customers are, you are not doing your job as a business owner. All right. So 3 biggest changes that happened in this last year that you need to be aware of moving forward. Number 1, user experience matters. Google fell in love with their customer, which is the searcher. You need to as well. If you're not focused on them first and you're not serving them first, you are going to suffer when it comes to SEO. When it comes to linking, everyone thought that it was about quantity and we just need more and more links. And it's really not true. You really need quality over quantity. So we're going to dive into that. And then the proper optimizations and the proper signals when it comes to on-page optimizations. Right? There's some very specific things that you can do around that really help to boost your local rankings.
Stacey. There we go. Thank you. If you don't swing the bat, you can't hit the home run.
There you go.
Call Triple Play. Triple Play Home Services. So baseball
Triple
references
play.
galore.
Absolutely. I love it. Sliding head first into third base. All right. Number 1, the user experience. So Core Web Vitals came out this summer. I'm sure a lot of you heard of it, saw it. If your business is growing every year, but you're not doing these things, what does that mean, guys? Great question here, Bobby. I want to answer this because this is actually a really good question and it pertains to what I just said. So Bobby, question, if your business is growing every year, but you're not doing these things, what does that mean? That means that you're doing a really good job. Mm-hmm. You're serving your customers well, you're getting referrals, and there's plenty of opportunity still out there. And that's why I say you're doing a good job, because to get to great, there's still a decent sized gap in there. And that's where filling in some of these things can get you to that next level, right? What you're doing is really building a strong foundation. And I've met with Bobby in the past. We've had a good conversation. What you're doing is building a really good, solid foundation when you're taking care of clients and you're getting a lot of referrals. The challenge with referrals is that you don't control it, right? You have no say in how much a client is going to refer you or how many people a client is going to refer you to. You can generally take a guess as to how much business is going to come in from referrals, but it's never a guarantee, right? When it comes to paid strategy, when you actually run it consistently, it's a funnel and it's a faucet. You can turn it on as much as you want, and away it flows, and you know how many leads are going to be coming in, because based on the search results, based on the clicks, you know how many leads you're going to be bringing into your business.
Put it this way, and this just doesn't go for Bobby. This was for a lot of businesses who have that same thing happening to them. They're growing through referrals and word of mouth, and they're not doing a lot of the advertising. I mean, you've got the wood on the fire. Mm-hmm. This is pouring gasoline on it and adding a shit ton more wood. Imagine how great your business could be if you're growing every single year and you add in things like marketing on top of it, you're going to hit crazy numbers for your business, because you already have the solid foundation of taking care of your customers first. And that's what Google's doing too with their user experiences, is taking care of their customers first. I know, Evan, you're probably going to come back to the core web vitals, but I was reading an article today about from I can't remember the guy's first name, something Mueller from Google. And he was talking about the user experience and how much they've wanted to make it a focal point for people. And he was talking about the content that you put on your website. And so do you have great content on your website that engages a user and makes them want to come back and helps them out? And when you do have those sorts of things on there, when you have unique content on there, that's going to bump up your user experience as well. So that's another part, of it.
100%. You need to be absolutely emphatically in love with your customer in every way, shape, and form within your business. And appreciate it, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby.
And when you shift your mindset to doing everything that you can for your customer and not to your customer, that's when sales becomes easier. That's when your marketing becomes easier. That's when your processes within your business become easier, because it's all for them, right? This was something that Ish talked about in Vegas, and I referenced in one of my videos as well. He's got his 7 steps ironed out. The process is set in stone in terms of what is the best way to get a client from beginning to end as seamlessly as possible, so that they become a raving fan of our business, right? And when you take that same approach to your marketing, when you take that same approach to your website, and it's not just about getting a conversion, it's about connecting with the consumer, and it's about serving them in the best possible way, that's when Google's going to reward you as well. And that's really what the Core Web Vitals update was all about. It penalized sites that were slow. If you had a very slow load time to your website, you were penalized and your rankings went down. And rankings were affected by more than 20%. And that was from the Search Engine Journal. And that was on top of the update that happened last December, which affected search engine results by 38%. So you compound those efforts. And again, if you're not adjusting your approach online consistently, then you saw a massive decrease in your rankings. And that's why it's so essential to hop in there and do that. Here, why don't we, so there's this site here, the developers.google.com, the page speed insights. Thad, do you want to pull one up?
Yep.
And we can do, since Tersh said we can do his, we'll pull his up.
Sure. Let me get his up.
Yeah, so you do that. I'm going to go on to the second one while you're doing that.
Sure.
The on-page signals is the second thing. And so these are things like click-through rate, your scroll rate, which is, when someone lands on your website, are they scrolling all the way to the bottom? The session time, how long they're spending on your website, and then the bounce rate. Are they coming to your website just seeing one page and then leaving, or are they going to 2, 3, 4 pages on your website? Some ideal numbers to think of when looking at this, like bounce rate is a really good one, because it's right on the first page of your analytics. As soon as you open up Google Analytics, it tells you. And here's an example of it here. For one of our clients this week, 18% bounce rate. A solid number is between 20 and 40%. If you're in there, you are better than average, and you're doing a pretty good job for your bounce rate.
So sorry, I can interrupt. I was trying not to share the screen. So, but apparently when we can just do this. There we go. Keep going.
All right. Sounds good. So yeah, well, your bounce rate 20 to 40% is good. 40 to 60% is average. And then above 60% is not good. That means people are coming to your site and they're leaving. And because Google has access to all of this data, they're penalizing those sites, and the search results are an impact of that. And they're seeing the results of that. So the page speed, I want to go back to that because you loaded up Tersh's site. And this is how important page speed is. So Google has their own page speed test. Again, I mean, if you Google page speed test, this site will come up. You can enter in your site and pull up the data here. So Tersh, I appreciate you being a brave volunteer and putting up your site here, Service Emperor. Looks like you just redid it, actually. Looks different than the last time I saw it. But as far as page speed goes, a 60 out of 100 on desktop and 18 out of 100 on mobile. Now, that is typical when you look at these results to see desktop being faster than the mobile page speed. So don't be shocked if that's the case for yours as well. But really, you want to be above 90 when it comes to desktop for sure. And because so many sites are not great at page speed, if you are above 70 on mobile, you're going to be okay. But again, it's striving for that 80s and 90s when it comes to page speed, because Google is grading these so heavily. So what can you do to really impact this page speed? Well, there's a couple things. One is hosting. Your hosting provider is a huge part of the process in terms of how fast your page is going to load. And I don't have these written down on a slide. I probably should have done that, but that's all right. 2.
Hey, it's our first webinar, and we went live with it. I know a lot of guys in our space, they'll do their first webinar and they're like, well, I'm going to record it at first because, whatever. We just said, fuck it, let's go live. So
let's go live. Let's add some value.
Yeah.
Here, we'll even go here. I changed the background on you, bud. So yeah, hosting. 2, what web builder are you building your site on? Web builders like Wix, Squarespace, they add a lot of CSS and JavaScript into the site that you can't get rid of. And so they really slow down your site. Okay, WordPress is a great option. They offer a lot of great plugins. I know it's more difficult to build on for a lot of people. However, it will positively impact your page speed, and you can get a plugin like WP Rocket is a good one. Nitro is another really good one as well in terms of helping to boost that page speed. Image sizes is another really big one. You want to make sure that you're reducing the size of your image, and it's file size, not actual size. But reduce the file size of your images so that they can load faster on your website. So those are just some really simple tips that you can do and you can apply to help load your site a little bit faster.
Sorry, I wanted to see what happened when we clicked on that guy, and apparently it just has you in that. So
way too big.
Anyways,
there we go. And yeah, Bobby, I get it. Bobby here said, I'm an old school guy who hasn't bought on all this stuff, but what you guys are doing will help change our position. Good job, guys. Education is key. Education is key. It's essential, and you're not alone, Bobby. That's why we wanted to put this on. That's why we wanted to share it. That's why we wanted to go live with it, because you are an amazing technician, and then you got into being a business owner. And that's the story of a lot of businesses in the trades across North America. It's not unique. And what is unique is the guys who do double down and say, well, I'm taking on a second job now. And that second job is being the owner of my business and diving into what it is that makes your business run. Things like marketing, things like accounting, things like operations, inventory, all of that, finance. Right? Those are all big aspects of running a business that you need to study and you need to master in order to run a large scale business.
But here's the other thing, and it's not just isolated to one particular person. There's been a lot of companies that have had this, that they get a jaded experience of marketing, and so they have an old school approach, and they say, okay, well, I'm gonna invest in a company, and they're gonna do some SEO on a website. And 6 months down the road, the relationship isn't working out and you leave. And now all of a sudden your website and all that SEO is offline. And there's just a page saying this, can't be found because they had a poor experience. So if you are, of that nature and you're like, well, I don't know who I want to go with, dip your toes in the water, ask them a few questions. Like, if you were to ever leave, would you own all your assets? If you were to ever leave, would the SEO work transfer over to a new provider? So that way you can also help insulate yourself a little bit as a business owner from some of those companies that are out there that do those things.
100%. I think we're going to make a buyer's guide, I think. How to buy digital marketing.
Perfect. I'm going to write that down.
All right. Sounds good. Thad's the implementer. I'm the visionary. So
Yeah,
I think of stuff, he executes. It's great.
it's perfect.
All right. Number 2, quality links matter. Okay. Not all links are created equal. There was a Penguin update a while back, and it changed everything in terms of link building. And so for those of you that don't know, a link, what it is, it's another website putting your URL, your link on their website, sending traffic back to yours. And so what that's doing is it's telling Google, this site, ooh, yeah, you do. Honestly, the highlight of Vegas for me was talking to Stacy over lunch. Stacy just said, I have input on that buyer's guide.
Perfect.
Highlight of Vegas was talking to Stacy over lunch and her just ripping into what it is that she doesn't like about marketers in this space. And I loved it. I took notes. It was great. And thankfully, we actually don't do most of those things that she was saying that she was unhappy with. So it made me feel good that we're on the right track. So I appreciate you, Stacy. Quality links matter. So you want to be getting high quality links coming back. You're welcome, Travis. Coming back to your site. And you want to make sure that you're going in and you're disavowing or eliminating or removing links to your site that are spammy and porn links. So back in the day, old school SEO, old school SEO was, I can just go to Fiverr, pay someone to do a press release for me, pay someone else to go out and build a bunch of links back to your site. And it didn't matter where they came from. All that mattered was the quantity. So if you see a competitor that has like 10,000 backlinks, chances are a lot of them are not great. And they're spammy, they're porn links, things like that. There's a lot of porn backlinks going to websites, and you need to be aware of this when you're monitoring your site. And so using a tool, there's a free tool called Uber Suggest. This is a really great one. You can put your URL right in it, and it will tell you what your backlink profile looks like. And it'll show if you have any spammy ones. It only shows up to a certain amount, and then you got to pay after that. But at least it's a free tool that you can use to take a look and see how it is that your site's doing. But this is a really important thing when you're building out links for your site, what it is you want to focus on. And it's local news sites. So when you do something cool, i.e., you gave away a system, you did a draw for a system, which is a great thing to do. It's fun for the community. You can do something for Thanksgiving to show gratitude for the community. There's a little nugget, little tip. Do a draw over Thanksgiving, showing gratitude, giving back. You give away a system to a family in need. Reach out to the local news stations, tell them about it, and you can write a story afterwards and send it to them, and they'll publish it. They're always looking for quality stories. And so if you can send stuff to them, those links are really powerful. Local state sites and city sites, anything that has to do with your area are really powerful links. And industry sites. So things to do with the trade, things to do with home improvement. Those are all really powerful links that can help build your business. So what to send them? Every single blog you do. Any piece of content that you put out. And again, if you're very much emphatically in love with your customer and all you were trying to do is provide value for them and write stories for them, that is the exact content that they want to see. Would you not agree? Yeah, Thaddeus?
Yeah, I would agree. Sorry.
All right. Sweet, buddy.
I'm just listening. I'm listening.
All right.
So in case anybody's wondering why I'm not chiming in a lot, the joy of having a business partner is that Evan is mainly the SEO guy, where I'm mainly the Facebook ads guy and the operations backend side of things. So in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah. So when we run our Facebook ads webinar, I'll be the one sitting in the recliner, just chilling out, and I can maybe ask Thaddeus some questions. But other than that, I have no idea what to do. I can get creative with it and come up with ideas, but I don't know how to execute on it at all.
There you go.
That's why I appreciate you, buddy. So yeah, when you're building out links, literally it's writing articles for your audience, right? Another hack, a 10-minute video is roughly 1,000 words of content. So if you are scared to write, you don't know what to write, hop on camera, shoot a quick video, and just talk. You know your trade, and chances are if you run into a problem in the field once a week and then talk about it for 10 minutes, there's your blog post. There's your piece of content that you can put out. Make sense? Any questions on that?
I have no questions.
All right, sweet.
Well, actually, maybe you might get into this on the next slide, but like, okay, well, how do you, so I've got a blog post. I wrote it. I want to get it out to these new sites. How do I do that? I mean,
we have our strategies of how to do it, because we already have the connections. So it's a lot easier for us to do it. In terms of how to do it from your perspective as a business owner, when you're putting it out, honestly, the easiest way is local connections. If you know someone at the news station, if you follow them on Twitter, you follow them on Instagram, send them a message, tell them about it and send it to them. If you know someone who knows someone, get them to send it to them and share it with them. But it's putting the content out there on social is going to be a big part of it. And then it's just going to the site and looking up the email address. Once you make that initial connection, it's a lot easier to keep that relationship going. Another easy way is if you ever did a radio ad or if you ever did a TV commercial, now you have an in with the station and it's easy to send them content, and then they can be posting it to their website and send you that link back. So you can leverage those relationships as well. If you're already doing other media buys, it's a great way to continue to build great content and to build those backlinks and send it back your way. How's that?
Perfect.
Awesome. Third thing, optimizations and signals. And we've already hit on this a bunch. Content is king, but it needs to be good. And it needs to be with your customers in mind when you're writing it. There's a great book, and I would love to do an entire webinar just on this book, but it's called They Ask, You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. It's a fantastic book. I highly encourage every business owner to read it, because when you are willing to answer the questions that no one else in your market is willing to answer, things like how much does a 3-ton 15-SEER AC cost in Nashville, Tennessee, and you write a post that talks about that, that's really powerful, because you're answering a question that no one else is willing to do. And you don't have to be very specific. You don't have to give a specific number, but to give a range and explain why there's a range, right? If the system's set up right, we don't have to do any duct work. We don't have to do this. Here's roughly going to be the cost of that, and it's going to be on the lower end of that scale. If there's a lot of work that needs to get done, it's a really old system, the wiring needs to be updated, this is going to be the range for that system. Ultimately, it comes down to comfort and quality, and we want to make sure we're doing the best job for you. If you're interested in getting a free consult, here's the button, and you put the button on your page. Okay. But answering those questions, it's really powerful, and it goes a long way. And when you hear Marcus's story in the book, that's literally what they did to completely transform their business. And that was through the recession of 2008. And they're in a pool business, right? So it's a fantastic book. I highly encourage you to read it in terms of that. And again, that's that buyer's intent. Another thing to make sure that you have on your website, make sure you have individual pages for every single service and product that you offer. We see this all the time. Services offered, air conditioning, heating, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not even that. It just says services, and it's just a services page. And we see it all the
diarrhea is everything that you do on the one page.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of Google, they get really confused as to what that page is supposed to be about. So they're not going to show it. So what you want to have is you want to have a page for air conditioning. You want to have a page for heating. You want to have a page for IAQ. But then even underneath all of that, you want to have a page for repair, a page for maintenance, a page for service, a page for installation, a page for mini splits, right? Every single product and service that you offer, you want to make sure that you have an individual page that can show up for that, so that when someone's typing into Google, they're looking for AC service, they're not getting served a services page that is confusing, because a confused mind always says no. So here's a great example of how a site should be laid out.
So they have Acadiana Comfort. They have the About Us, their blog. I mean, it's a little busy in terms of the menu bar, but you see air conditioning, right? If you click on air conditioning, now it opens up a whole separate page just for air conditioning. Air conditioning installation has a new page. AC repair has a page. Heating has a page. Furnace repair, furnace maintenance. They do electrical, indoor, outdoor. So this is what he's referencing. And now maintenance plans are a separate page. Filter delivery, financing, they've even got employment, and then they've got their service areas. So that's a great setup to be able to really dive in and show everything that's on there. But, the other part too, when you come over to, the page and it talks about the repair service, well, it actually you can click and it'll go to the specific page as well. So now you say, oh, I'm on the services. I want to learn more about air conditioning installation. It sends them down this journey that is a great user experience. And when they have this great user experience, to be able to find easily what they're looking for, if they happen to land on your homepage, it helps out Google. But the other part that it does from the SEO standpoint is now you can try to rank for multiple different search terms. Okay. So an example of Acadiana, they have an ability to, air conditioning in Lafayette. Now they can do air conditioning installation, air conditioning repair, air conditioning service. So there's 4 different search terms that they can focus on just for air conditioning that the users are searching.
And we got Cody in the
house. So we're showing them your website. We show it quite a bit because the website is crushing. Yeah. The SEO is crushing.
Absolutely. Which brings me to my next point in terms of, okay, so now you've got a nice site. It's all broken down. Individual pages are laid out. Well, what's showing up in the SERP is also really important. So if you want to pull up just a search end result page, and we can kind of point out a couple different things in terms of title tags and meta descriptions there.
Sure.
So what a title tag is, it's what your individual page is about. What a meta description is, it's that short paragraph underneath the title tag on the search engine result page.
So this would be, we'll just scroll down to this. So this would be your title tags that you have here. What the title tags are great is it identifies to the user and Google what this page is about. I mean, how many times when you search are you reading the blue font to determine if you want to read the page? And you're like, oh, okay, air conditioning Calgary. Now what's this all about? And this is your description. And so now it'll say, okay, well, I'm looking for an air conditioner in Calgary. Hey, that's me. So those 2 things are super important to be able to leverage and use for your searches.
No, 100%. And so the one thing with the title tags, what I will say, and actually the first result is the perfect example of this, you want your keywords pulled to the left. So in this case, they were trying to rank for air conditioning Calgary, which they are. That keyword is pulled to the left. Why do you want it pulled to the left? Because that's what people are seeing first. And if that's what they just typed in and you're the one that typed in the exact same thing that they searched, they're more likely to click on you. To the right is your qualifier. So in this case, they put their brand name because Reliance has a really strong brand within the Calgary market, right? You look at the search result just below that, new AC installation Calgary. Well, Thaddeus just typed in air conditioning. What if he was actually looking for service, maintenance, or repair? That search result is now not going to get his click simply because they put in the wrong keyword and showed up for the wrong keyword, right? So you want to make sure that you're very specific about each page and not cross-referencing those. The other thing in the meta description, you also notice that the keywords do get bolded in the meta description. So you want to make sure that you're referencing those things multiple times in there because that bold text catches the eye and grabs your attention. So now with the next step is the Gmb posts. So Google My Business, everyone knows what I hope you know what a Google My Business profile is. If you don't, you need to, and you need to learn how to set it up. Go to YouTube. There is 7,000 videos on how to set up a GMB. Go look one up and you'll do it. But this is where a lot of people really miss out on hitting all the steps and making sure they're doing all the right things. When it comes to creating posts, putting up products, answering questions, and responding to all the reviews. So we can go back to your page there, Thad. Are you answering something right now?
Good. You want to go back to this guy?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's click on the map pack there. And let's pull up JP's and see if they're doing everything right.
GPS?
Sure.
You want their website?
No.
Oh, what do you want? You just want their business.
Just the business listing. There we go. All right. So on here, we can see they clicked off the extra boxes for the service option. So that's great. You want to make sure you're doing that. Areas served, you want to make sure you're highlighting that. Now, that actually doesn't impact whether or not you're going to show up in the rankings. So just because you clicked on a certain area, a certain town, doesn't mean you're going to show up there. But you do still want to do it anyways, because it's going to let the user know, the customer know that that's a place that you serve. Health and safety tips during times of COVID. Let's face it, some customers, they still care about it. So you got to put it in there, right? They've got their appointment link in there, which is great. Products. This is one that I see missed so often. You want to make sure that you're listing out your products and everything that you offer. If it's a certain brand that you offer, put it in there. If it's repair services that you offer, put it in there. If it's maintenance agreements, put it in there. Right? You can see the abundance of listings that they have here for products. Again, most people miss this. So you wonder why they're ranking. This is something that Google likes, right? Let's face it. Google, Facebook, Instagram, doesn't matter. They like when you use all of what they have to offer. When Instagram came out with Reels, they boosted the Reels. YouTube has Shorts right now. So YouTube Shorts is a separate thing, and you can do a hashtag Shorts on it. You put up short videos, you get seen more frequently just because of that, right? You need to use everything that they have to offer. If they offer you the option to list your products, do it. What do we got next? Categories. So you want to make sure that you're selecting all the categories that you're doing. Pictures. You want to make sure you're listing all of your pictures. Question and answers. The objection I usually get to the question and answers is, well, nobody's asking me the questions. Do you have a neighbor? Do you have a wife, a husband, a son, a daughter? Anyone can ask that question. Okay? You want to make sure that people are asking the right questions for you, and then you can answer them. You can put the keywords in there. Again, this is a step that most people miss, and they just don't do it. So do it. Go the extra mile, do that little extra thing. Responding to reviews is a huge thing. The other thing you notice is that, again, keywords are getting bolded within the reviews now. And so you want to make sure that you're letting your customers know when they're leaving a review to mention the service that you provided them, not just talking about how great you are, how awesome you are, how good your hair looks, right? You want to make sure that you're putting that out there. Ask it in a survey. Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea as well. And then in your responses, you want to make sure you're responding and using as much text in there as possible, right? I love that they're responding here with a paragraph answer, not just a one sentence, thanks, it was great to serve you. That's a missed opportunity. Take the chance to speak to them and talk about how great it was to work with them, but also what equipment you were able to work on with, and you're happy that they were able to get the right system for their family based off of their needs for IAQ and having clean air, right? And then are they posting as well? So there's a missed opportunity there. So they're not doing any posts. So that is one thing that we do frequently and religiously for clients, is putting out posts. Why? Because it's another opportunity to showcase what Google has to offer. And so we put out posts, we put links in those posts, we put the NAP in the post every time as well. Little things like that goes the extra mile. Also, when you're sharing the photos, Google can read the photos. So if you put text in the photo, that's another opportunity for you to share your name, address, and phone number. So you want to put that in the photos.
There is a tool, by the way. I haven't really explored it and looked exactly how it works. It's called Google Vision AI, and it's mainly for for starters, but also for your website, to be able to upload the photo, and Google Vision AI will tell you what the photo is about.
Which is huge, right? And this is where alt tags come in, right? It's a description of the photo. Have you ever seen that in your website builder where it asks for an alt tag on a photo? That's what it is. It's a verbal description of what that photo is. So for someone who's hearing impaired, that doesn't really help them. Someone who's blind and they're listening through their phone, and their phone is telling them what the site is about, it's listing off what those pictures are. So if you don't have a description in there, it can't list them out. Which kind of leads into the other updates as well that we wanted to talk about. And one of them is image optimization. And Thad, I know you listened to a webinar just recently that really talked about this.
Yeah, so the big thing is now Google, what they're starting to see is they're showing images in your search engine results when you're searching specific tags. And they were more so referencing e-commerce, but now we're starting to see that trickle into other industries. And so when you have your website, you need to put more than just stock photos on. They will actually not show stock photos in search engine results as much as people would want. So the Shutterstock is going to take the cake on that one. But if you put your alt tags and you label those images accordingly, so now Google can say, okay, this is what this image is about. So if I'm searching for a specific image on something, now I'm going to also show up in the search engine results for the images. Maybe somebody wants to see air conditioning installations and see pictures of it and see what that looks like. So making sure that you're optimizing those sorts of things. And that also goes back to that Google Vision AI as well. If you don't want to put your alt tags in, but you want to know what the photo's about, utilize that service, because it's going to tell you, in the podcast or the webinar I was watching last week, they showed two photos, almost identical. There was just a little shift in terms of the view on a dentist. One showed up as eyeglasses. The other photo showed up as dentist, just because of the slight shift in the way that the photo was. So it's an important thing that not a lot of people look at, and not a lot of SEO companies also look at to optimize the images either.
100%. Well, and you mentioned the stock photos, and in my mind, SEO is more than just ranking. SEO is also about making sure that your website is converting, because at the end of the day, what is it we care about? It's not that we're showing up on Google, number one. It's the amount of phone calls that come into our business and the amount of deals that we close, right? Mm-hmm. The customers that we get to have an impact on by providing a great service. So if you have stock photos on your website, that is a missed opportunity for being able to build a relationship with that customer and to build trust with that customer before you even showed up. One of the biggest hesitancies that a consumer has, a homeowner has, is a lack of trust around the trades. You're coming into their home, and so already their guard is going to be up. You want to do whatever is in your power to try and reduce that along the way before you even show up. And one of the biggest things is just having photos on your website, having videos on your website explaining what the customer experience is going to be like. Really, really simple things, subtle things that you can do, cost very little to get a photographer to come and follow you for a day. This was something that Cody did with his business there at Acadiana. You saw all those nice photos on there. He paid a photographer. They came out, and we rebuilt that website. We put all those photos in there, and it looks amazing now. Hey. Our boy Kevin Lee just said he knows some people who can crush some video content. Yeah, you do. And I know Stacy is someone that you're going to go out and see and do some video with her. So I'm super excited to see that, because we need to do a whole webinar with Kevin, because
when we get to the Facebook part of things, that's Kevin has a phenomenal strategy. That is game changer.
Totally. Kevin, you down to do a whole webinar with us, bud?
Sure, he will be.
Awesome.
We'll just tell him.
They are absolutely rock stars. Next thing is continuous scroll. And you had mentioned that they talked about this as well, and what this could do potentially for guys that are on page 2.
Yep. Yeah. So I know Google, they're actually starting to test it in certain areas, and I think they're going to roll wide with it. I mean, you see it on all the social platforms like Facebook, like Instagram. I don't know what happens on TikTok. I don't go on there. But I mean, I think it just pops up in the next videos. But like, people scroll, right? It's endless scrolling on Facebook. And so Google now, they're like, well, why don't we start to have that as part of our business too? And so they're going to be eliminating the page 2, page 3, page 4, page 100 at the very bottom of Google search results. And it's just going to be a continuous scroll now. So you're still going to see a lot of people gravitate to the top results because they're going to look through that. But page 2 is going to become an important play as well for those that are even further down. So it's a different thing. And in terms of the tracking, some people are like, well, how are you going to track impressions and clicks and all that on their previous algorithm? Was pretty easy. It loads up the page and away they go. Well, they're gonna lazy load it. So as it goes down, you scroll down, it'll load as you keep scrolling, kind of similar to Facebook can kind of do as well. So it's going to be a neat thing to see. And I think it's going to change the way that people interact and search.
I think it will have a subtle difference personally, but I really don't think it's going to make a massive difference.
No, people will go to page 2 results now a lot more frequently, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Totally. The only reason why I feel like it's not going to have as big of an impact as something like an Instagram or a TikTok, that mindless scrolling that people do on there, is because when you're going to Google, you have intent, you have a need that needs to be filled. And so you're going to keep searching until you find that provider. But ultimately what it comes down to is it's going to be those top results that are still going to get the predominant amount.
And I mean, you're not going to have the mindless scrolling because you are searching that problem.
Exactly.
But now people will search until they find the answer to the problem. So
Totally.
That also goes back to making sure that your title tags and your descriptions are fully optimized. I'm getting this. There we go. Your descriptions and your title tags are fully optimized. So that way the consumer knows what your site is about. And when they know what your site is about, now they're going to stop that continuous scroll because they're going to click on you.
Totally. Well, and yeah, 100%. We'll leave it at that. Next one, don't leave out Apple. And even in the sense of Apple, Bing, Yahoo, right? We need to also focus on that. Obviously, we've talked pretty heavily on Google around this because they get 90% of the search volume. In fact, you want to know how dominant Google is? The number one search term on Bing is Google. So you want to talk about a useless service? No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But Apple came out with their maps, right? And so they have their own individual business listing with their map search. So this is a huge opportunity for businesses that are in a market where, you might have 10 reviews or 20 reviews. You're just getting started. And you're in a market where there are businesses with thousands or tens of thousands of reviews. They can't pull those over into Apple. So this is your opportunity to start fresh and try and capture some of that market share. So it's a huge opportunity to really dive in and optimize your business for Apple Maps as well.
And the one thing that I heard about Apple is that you can't leave a review on Apple Maps unless you're an Apple or an iPhone or an Apple user, iPad or iPhone. And so building in your review system now isn't as simple as saying, leave us a Google review. If you want to dominate both, if you've got, you looked at JPS earlier, 1,300 Google reviews, they can probably start siphoning some into Apple from there. And so it's developing that strategy in your business to say, okay, how can we get both Google and Apple reviews at the same time?
Totally. And then the last one here, and you've heard me say it time and time again, become obsessed with your customer. If you really want to stay ahead of all algorithm updates, that's it. That's your ticket. If you're radically obsessed with just serving, you're going to be just fine and you won't have to worry about any of this shit. Just saying. So what do you focus on? Know your keywords. So you need to know what to rank for in your area. We do have a list of those. And so down below there, if you want a list of those top keywords, you want to do this yourself, you've got more time than money, and you want to put in the energy to really grow your business and grow your rankings, send us an email, info@onpurposemedia.ca, and we will give you that list of keywords, the keywords that we use to rank our clients' businesses on Google and what we look to target. We'll give you that list of keywords. So we'll save you a little bit of trouble there. If you did want to go looking for yourself and you wanted to use a free service, set up a Google Ads account, and in there they have a keyword planner tool. And you can use that to search out the keywords and what has the biggest impact and what's the search volume for those keywords. Set up a website using WordPress and get fast hosting. That is absolutely essential. You need to have a fast website today. And if you're building a site on one of those easy to use platforms like Wix, it's one of those catch-22s, right? Where it's easy to do up front, but the pain of the back end is a long-term pain, right? So taking the time to really build a proper site on WordPress is huge, and reverse engineer your user experience. I cannot say that enough. You've heard me say it time and time again throughout the webinar. It's so essential to building a business moving forward. Anything else you can think of in terms of what they need to focus on?
I mean, the winter time is the perfect time to do this. For a lot of HVAC businesses. I mean, not so much some of the guys that are north in the cold weather, because you're starting to get ready for furnace season. But it's a different. Furnaces are a different beast, altogether. But now is the slower time where you can start to focus on some of these things and don't wait. People are like, well, I'll start SEO in March. Well, no, SEO can take time. And I say can because there's a lot of different factors that go involved in it. I mean, you can see success in a couple of weeks, you can see success in a couple of months. I'm not going to go into the specific factors today, but if you get but you think about, if you were to ever update your job on LinkedIn or Facebook, but then you Google search your name, it takes weeks for that to show up on the Google search results. So think about that too. If you want to really take advantage of 2022, why do you think we're doing this webinar in November? Means now is the time to be able to focus on doing it.
100%. Lastly, if anyone's brave enough to throw their URL down for
Tersh did say we could use his.
There you go. All right. So we're willing to do this audit right now. Then this was actually a practice that was talked about at 10X Service Hero. Many different guys that were speaking mentioned this, and they talked about auditing your business. And it wasn't just in terms of marketing. It was in every area of your business, taking a complete ownership position in making sure that install is done correctly and you're not missing anything, that payroll is done correctly and you're not missing anything, and there's no inefficiencies in there. So we're going to do a quick audit here at Tersh's site. So if you want to do your own audit, by all means, take a look at your own site and do your own audit. If you want help with it, let us know, because this is what we do. You want to pull it up?
No, you can go through it. I'll watch. I mean, I have my own that I do, my quick one with a couple quick tools to see about the on-page SEO. But if you want to go through and do yours, then away we go.
Well, you've already got it pulled up here. So
all right. Well, then add my screen in here. Let me know when you're in here.
It's in.
All right.
I got it in.
Anyways, it wouldn't be us without any of that. So first off, I mean, we did do Tersh's page speed insights. I'll open that up. But I'm going to redo that because I'm going to go quickly through, and I'm going to do just a quick high-level audit in terms of some of the things that I look at on a website. I'm sure Evan has a few of his own that he wants to do as well, for it. But we look at obviously a page speed. We pulled that up earlier, was 18 or something on mobile and 60 something on desktop. One of the other tools we use is GT Metrics. It's a free tool. You don't need to have an account to do that, and it also kind of help you out with your page speed and such now. But in terms of the website, so he does have above the fold. That's what this is called here. This info, the heating and air conditioning. He has a button.
Looks like schedule engine.
Yeah, it looks that way. So you obviously have the category on here, so you can actually have that, online booking, which is key. But he has that above the fold, which is good. The one thing that I'm a fan of myself is what's called a sticky header, and so we'll use this. We pulled up Cody's site already. The sticky header, you see it bounces up here, and now the menu bar stays at the top. Okay. And it's always there. So for ease of use, again, think about your consumer, right? What are they trying to do? They're scanning things. And if they don't find the info, they're going to want to go to another page to find what they're looking for. So if you can have your menu stay at the top with your user, it's a big thing. Having your main services, right down at the bottom with an easy to look at view is key things. So let's see how, and obviously to get a quote, he's baking this in multiple times with multiple buttons in there, some Google reviews. It's overall, it's a good user experience in terms of how the site runs and works and operates. Also, his sticky headers in the middle. So as you guys see this now, I'm scrolling down. His sticky header transfers into the middle. Where if it were me, I would like to see this black at the top, and then that's cool to transfer that down again later on down the road. That might be why his page speed has taken a hit, because I talked to our developers about this, and they're like, we can do it, but your page speed is going to be pretty slow if you do that. A couple of the on-page things that we chatted about. This is another free tool that I use quite frequently, SEO Minion, to quickly look at what your title tags are, your descriptions are, as well as what some of the meta robots are, as well as your H1 heading. Your H1 heading is essentially what Google is telling you your website's about, your page is about. So heating and air conditioning company in Savannah. And then here's their title tag. So as Evan was saying earlier, you want to have your keywords to the left and then your qualifier on the right. So I would delete the word home from this. And just have HVAC, top rated HVAC company in Savannah. That's usually, but it also doesn't match necessarily with what his H1 heading is either. So that would be something to keep an eye on there. In terms of the air conditioning, so he has the different menu bars like we showed earlier, which is good. I'm going to go to air conditioning page. And so it's his main air conditioning services in Savannah. So he's taking that same thing. Got his AC services on the right there, and we'll take a quick look. I'm not going to go through the entirety of all of that, but AC services, HVAC company in Savannah. So he's hitting the title there, and then his H1 heading is set up on that side of things. We will do, let's see, his repair, probably another big one from where he's based out of.
Tersh, get some photos done, bud.
Yeah, stock photos. So AC repair, HVAC company in Savannah. So, if it were me and Evan, you might be able to chime in. I'd probably go AC repair in Savannah to match it to what's happening on your H1 header, because that's what people are searching, right, to show up on this page. So they don't care about the HVAC company part. They want to know about AC repair is what they're looking at, and then having Service Emperor over there. On that page. I would agree, get some photos done.
Well, and even with that, you can do a qualifier with the title tag as well. So have, affordable AC repair, right?
Yep.
Or AC repair, fastest service in town, right?
Yep.
Trucks available now, things like that, where it's going to create more attention and grab the eye.
I did want to take a quick look at his mobile view. Mobile view is super important. You should almost design a website on mobile first, depending on where your consumers are coming from, and your Google Analytics will have that. But as you can see on the top, and this isn't necessarily 100% accurate, but it usually is. His menu bar doesn't stay at the top. There's no actual clickable call icon on the top. So when you want to get ease of use, right? What's going to make the customer want to call you or book online? Yeah, he has lots of the scheduled onlines, which is great. But you take all the way to the bottom before I've got to click and call you, right? Where it should be at the top where they can click and call you, because not everybody's going to want to schedule online. I guess he has it here too, to call on that. But that would be good to have the icon. Yeah, it's clickable. Cool. So I clicked on that and it pulls up and I can connect and call from my phone. That's actually a neat hack, by the way. I don't know if you've ever realized that. Anything that you click on, if your phone is synced to there, you can actually just click on it and it'll pop up a notification. You press the connect on your phone. So
100%.
Neat little hack for yourself. But anyways, go to the page speed. So again, this is again, it's a free tool. This would be great for your developer, but the full load time is 4 seconds. The on load time is 2.1 seconds, and this is on desktop, and usually desktop is faster. So it's showing stuff within a 1 to 1.5 seconds, where a user wants a website to be fully loaded in, they say 3 seconds, but it's almost like 2 seconds or less, right? Users want the website instantly like that. And so doing things to be able to make sure that that is fast, on the sites themselves. So that'd be my quick snippet. I would look at his search engine results and rankings, but I don't know if we need to go that far.
No, I think for this has been great in terms of what we look for. Love you too, JB.
Yeah. So there you go. So even he said that. I wasn't looking at the chat. I was talking, the need authentic images, right? And that's a big thing. If when you can build out all of your own images on here instead of some of the stock stuff, like that you can tell that that's a photo, that's a stock photo. You can tell that's a stock photo. So building certain things out, and he has a few stock photos, but you look at the user experience here of Julian Heaton Air in terms of the picture. He's actually in the process of getting a whole bunch of new photos done. It's his photo there, right? It's his truck. It's you scroll down to and there's not as many photos on here, but their team. But even like under our work section, he's got a ton of photos of just their team doing things and integrating those into there. And so you can see people like, okay, this is a real company, real people behind what it is that they're doing.
Totally. No, that's huge. And I love the header photo that Tersh has used with the truck. It looks great. The wrap job is fantastic. Just put more photos like that. Get photos of your team out there, bud. I love the top rated logo that's on there as well. Again, it's another trust signal, right? So that's a great thing to have on there. Love schedule engine, that you have that on there as well. Booking online is huge. You need to have the option of it for your website. It's so much more than just the contact now button that you have on your website and they fill out a form and it gets submitted to you. This actually books and integrates right into your calendar, right? So huge. Josh, what's up, buddy? Tersh volunteered his website for an audit, so we're grilling him a little bit here.
I'm just clicking through this, so you can see like it asking a lot of qualifier questions.
It's great. Yeah. Huge fan of what they have to offer there.
And then you go a 30-second video of the problem, right? So
yeah,
just it's phenomenal. So
totally. And I mean, there's other options too, right? Like House Call Pro has the option to book online right on there as well.
The other thing that I would do, tell him his site blows. He's going to watch this on Team Replay, Josh. So, but the other thing that actually on the contact us page, again, phone number, right? I mean, people are looking for ease of use.
Yeah.
And so like, actually that's interesting, Tersh. I don't know if you noticed this, your phone number doesn't show up until I hover over top. I don't know if that's on by design at all or not, but it's right beside the phone icon. So I would like to see that present the whole time myself, so they can see the phone number and they can look to call it from their phone, because not everybody knows that you can click on it like this. But I would also like to see the phone number somewhere on the contact us page as well, not just the contact form. And also an email too, option as well, in case people want to email. I mean, I know that this is an email, but sometimes people just might want to send you a regular old email versus the contact form.
Yeah, again, it's removing friction, right? How can you present the most amount of options for someone to get a hold of you in the way that they want to, not in the way that you want them to contact you?
Yep. Here's another thing that I didn't see on here, and just looking at the map. I like the maps, by the way.
Yeah, you need to embed the map.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of different areas out here that I'm not super familiar with. I'd have to zoom in to see more of different cities or different service areas within the whole Savannah area, but then building out location pages. I don't see any on here. That doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't have any, but making sure that you have your service pages in your service area in there as well, because sometimes people might think, well, if it's Savannah, there's his two, right? Pooler and Beyond. But having individual service pages are going to help with your SEO rankings as well. And Josh is tagging Tersh. He knows that we're doing this. Don't worry, Josh. He said he was on earlier and he had to go put the kids to bed. He'd watch it later.
I was just looking quick to see what all his pages were.
Yeah, I just don't see them visibly, so they could be on there somewhere else. So,
well, and that's I'm a big believer in putting the locations both in the footer and then also in the header. Again, it's eliminating friction and it helps with rankings. I can't even imagine how many times you probably told him the truth there, Josh. So yeah, those are some of the things that we noticed right away off of that. I mean, even looking at the GMB, did you want to pull that up quick?
If we can find it.
Because I love map rankings, and I know Josh, he's a fellow marketer, SEO specialist as well, and that's one of the things that he's really great at too is the map rankings. But this is one of the quickest ways to start generating some SEO results is really mastering that GMB and really focusing on it. So I love the 24 hours that matches the website, the phone number matches the website. So you want to make sure that your information is consistent, and that's on there. The health and safety, he's already checked that off. Service options, check that off. He's got his products on there. Great job, Tersh. So many people not doing that. Oh, he's got 2 questions on there. So I'd encourage you to utilize the questions a little bit more because, again, you can get some keywords in there.
Sorry, I was looking at those.
Yeah, it's all good. Is he responding to reviews?
Let's find out. Look at that, 5 stars, 235 reviews.
Look at that. They're even putting photos in the reviews. It's great.
Oh, money. Well, let's see what his newest ones are. This was 4 hours ago.
And he's already responded with a nice lengthy paragraph response. Great job, Tersh.
Yep.
Or maybe it's Julie that's running that.
Well, it says Tersh, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So responding back to reviews.
That's a huge thing. You need to make sure you're doing that on everyone, and even the negative ones. You know, that's an opportunity for you as a business owner to really step up and say, hey, you know, we apologize for what happened. You know, here's my personal phone number. Give me a call. We want to rectify this. You know, that's certainly not how we want to run our business, and we'd love to chat with you, right? Getting into a battle online over reviews is never a good idea.
It's a lengthy title.
Well, and so here's a double-edged sword. So stuffing the keywords within the title of the business, it is the fastest way to improve your rankings in the Google My Business. It's also the fastest way to get your profile removed if that's not actually your business name. Because any business can then report it as this isn't their business name, and then you can get your business profile removed, or hopefully it's just a slap on the wrist, and then you're not in too much trouble, and you just change your name. And absolutely, Josh. So the alternative is number one, you just make that your business name. So that's your official business name. That's what's on your insurance. That's what's on everything. Then you can call your business that. And if Google challenges it or anyone challenges it, you've got proof of that. The second alternative to that is a DBA, right? Doing business as. You fill that out. Now you're clear as well. And you've got that paperwork that proves that this is what your business is called. This is what your business operates as. So you can change your Google My Business name to that. And that's a huge thing that you can do to help improve your rankings. Honestly, the number one thing that you can do to improve your rankings on the Google My Business is change your name to be exactly what it is that people are searching for. And I'll give you a real world example. So we when we were doing a course at one point, this was 2.5 years ago, we were doing I was doing an SEO course. And so our job was to build a website locally and launch it and get it ranking. And so I built a site for mold remediation and literally named it the city name, moldremediation.com. didn't even fill out all of the content on the site yet. It was still filled with lorem ipsum for the content on the website. The entire site, I changed the headings, I changed the Google My Business name, and then I had the exact match domain, and it ranked. It was number 1 on the map pack within a week. So that's how powerful having that in your GMB is. Okay. You want to make sure that if you can do it, if you can do a DBA, or if you can just name your business that, if you haven't launched your business yet, it's a really powerful thing. Any other thoughts on that, Josh? Sweet.
I mean, tons of sense. So
Awesome. So I think we'll leave it at that. This has been fun. I've had a blast doing this. I love talking SEO. I could talk it all day. I bet you Josh and I would probably really get into it. But it's something I'm passionate about because it brings real results for business. And that's what gets me excited. So if this was something that you saw a lot of value in and you're looking to get a second opinion on your site to see how it is that you're showing up online, hey, drop us a note. Where'd it go now?
next slide.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, give us a shout. Our website, onpurposemedia.ca, telephone number. There's my number. There's Thaddeus's number. That's our cell phones. So you can reach out to us on there or email info@onpurposemedia.ca or hit us up here on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. This is what we're passionate about, is just helping people, right? And I love doing these analysis for people and just opening their eyes to what it is that's happening online and where they're coming up a little bit short and where there's more opportunity for their business to grow. And sometimes that means they're still going to work with their provider, and that's totally okay because they know them, they like them, they trust them, etc. Getting a second opinion doesn't mean you're hiring someone else. That's not why we're doing this. We're doing this to purely add value. And if we can help you out, we'd love to. So feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to have a chat.
Awesome.
Anything else you want to say to that, bud?
Nailed it.
Sweet. Until
Cool.
next time.
Cheers.